nahi paya bala Hari Nama Sankirtane.
nahi paya bala Hari Nama.
तुम्हें कृपा करी श्रद्धा बिंदु दिया देवो कृष्ण नाम धाने कृष्णा से तोमा कृष्णा दीते पार तोमार सकतिया छे कृष्णा से तोमा कृष्णा दीते पार तोमार सकतिया छे আমি তো कंगाल कृष्णा कृष्णा बोली भाई तब पाछे पाछे আমি তো कंगाल कृष्णा कृष्णा बोली धाई तब पाछे पाछे ओ हे वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद श्री वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा So I hope my voice is also clear online, and I
Yes.
also want to.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, one Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's clear.
Okay. No, online devotees can they hear us also, but we are not able to hear Suman Mataji for some reason.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me now?
Maybe ask her to write in the chat.
Okay. So please write on the chat. That's what Prabhuji is telling.
Okay.
We can't hear you. Okay, Ankit Prabhu gave a thumbs up, so they can hear us. Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So today I have been given the service to speak about the transcendental words of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:12:6. Yesterday we heard from His Grace Vyasacharya Prabhu about 1:12:3. So this is in progression to that. We are talking about 12th chapter of first canto. So before we start, there is an important thing about 12th chapter that we will discuss here. And over here, the main thing that is being discussed is about devotional service. Devotional service to the Lord and the glories of devotional service is being discussed. Okay. So we will discuss in detail whatever we can. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:12:6. Kim te kama surasparha
Itikamasurasparah
Mukunda manaso dujaha
Mukundam manasudvija
Adijarur mudam ragya
Achitamududam bhagyam
Shudhitasya yathetare
Suditasya yatitare
Kim te kama suraspraha
Kintikamasurasparah
Mukunda manaso dujaha
Mukundo mansudvija
Adijarur mudam ragya Shudhitasya yathetare.
Suditasya yatitare.
This last word of the third line, I think it should be pronounced as what? Ragya or Raja? Ragya, right? Kim te kama suraspraha
Kintikamasurasparah
Mukunda manaso dujaha
Mukundo mansudvija
Adijarur mudam ragya
Adichamud Amragam
Shudhitasya yathetare.
Suditasya yatitare.
Kim te kama suraspraha Kim te kama suraspraha Mukunda so dujaha so dujaha Adijarur mudam ragya Shudhitasya yathetare. Mukunda manaso dujaha Adijarur mudam ragya Mukunda manaso dujaha
Kundu Mansudvija
Adijarur mudam ragya
Adija
Shudhitasya
Shudidasya Titare
Kim te kama surasparha Mukunda manaso dujaha Adijarur mudam ragya Shudhitasya yathetare. Thank you. Word meaning. Kim, what for?
But for
Te,
they,
all those.
all those
Kama,
Kama,
objects of sense enjoyment.
objects of sense
Sura,
enjoyment. Sura,
of the denizens of heaven.
of the denizens of heaven.
Sparha, aspirations.
Aspirations.
Mukunda Manasa,
Mukunda
of
Mansa,
one who is already God conscious.
of one who is already God
Dvija,
conscious.
O
Dvija,
Brahmanas.
O Brahmanas.
Adijaru,
Adijaru,
could satisfy.
could satisfy.
Mudam, pleasure.
Mudam, pleasure.
Ragya, of the
Ragya,
king.
of the king.
Shuditasya, of the
Yuditasya,
hungry.
of the
Yatha,
hungry.
as it
Yatha,
is.
as it is.
Itare, in
Itare,
other things.
in other things.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Channa Arvind Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki.
Jai.
O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Purport. There are two things in the world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constitutionally a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the conditions of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be the served. But actually he is not served. He is servant of the senses like lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so-called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhishthir was one of the liberated souls, and therefore for him there was no pleasure in a vast kingdom, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow for a pure devotee. even though the devotee does not aspire for them. The example is set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance, only they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. This is called illusion. When the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even the people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? This hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be obtained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore one who has them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world, even if they are relished by the denizens of the heavenly planets. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord, that even in the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmaloka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by Earth calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger can be satisfied only when the living being is situated in mortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky far, far above the Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं तत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्. So, this whole chapter, the name of the chapter is Birth of Emperor Parikshit. So, primarily, the glories of Parikshit Maharaj, like the mercy of Lord over Parikshit Maharaj and how he was blessed, will be discussed in this chapter. But in the starting of the chapter, Sud Goswami is actually trying to describe the glories of Maharaj Parikshit, Yudhishthir. In the starting, Maharaj Yudhishthir's glories are defined over here. Why they are defined? Because then the glories of Maharaj Parikshit will be validated, because the parampara will be established. His lineage, his background will be established. That is being done here. In this verse, three important concepts are being discussed. If you read this, three important concepts. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, first, absorption. Second, service. And third, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service, satisfaction. So three important concepts of devotional life are being discussed here. First is what? Absorption. Second is what? Service. And third is what? Satisfaction. And that is, satisfaction is what everybody is looking for. So, I will take it here. So I was hearing one lecture of His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj, and he was giving very good example. He was saying that the soul in this material world is actually always hankering for something. And he gives the example of a man who is trapped in a desert. A man who is trapped in a desert. So if somebody has been trapped and he is really thirsty for a long time, we can live without food for some time, but without water is very, very difficult. And we know the experience in Nirjala Ekadashi, right? It's like from evening itself, they start preparing Nimbu Pani and everything. So, consider a person who is entrapped in a hot desert for a long time and he is looking for water. This particular person will actually do anything for a small quantity of water, anything. Maharaj was telling that even if somebody is having crores of money, he will be ready to give money to get water. That is the nature of satisfaction. That is the nature of longing for satisfaction. That if in case we know that somewhere we will get real satisfaction, then that person can actually sacrifice anything for that. So in this example of desert, actually it is a material example. But then even in that case, the person is ready to sacrifice. So what to talk about the real satisfaction of spiritual bliss? Therefore, the great Mahajans, they are ready to sacrifice everything. And therefore, we come back in this verse, it is told that though Maharaj Yudhishthira was having all the material facilities and opulences, but that even the denizens of heaven were envious of him. But he was not attached to them. He gave them up because he was actually looking for real satisfaction. He was getting the real satisfaction in the association of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. That is the real principle. So we talked about three principles over here: service, absorption, and satisfaction. So when we do service with absorption, we get satisfaction. This is how it happens. When we do service with absorption, we get satisfaction. So we will try to touch base. So see, whole Bhagavatam is actually based on these three principles only. But I have tried to figure out some verses where these principles are highlighted even more, right? And we will see how we can discuss about them. So Krishna comes in this world to actually quench this thirst of the living entities. Krishna comes in this world, and by the virtue of his pastimes, Krishna, for the conditioned souls like us, he actually shows the pastimes and wants to quench our, eternal thirst for the spiritual bliss. So everything that we do in this world, we get some kind of a rasa. It is explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma, and also such sandarbs by Jiva Goswami. He has told very elaborately, and also by Jiva Goswami in Gopal Champu. Also, he talks about rasas, and also in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami in the second half. So these rasas, actually, when we eat something, we should observe ourselves. When we eat something, we get a certain type of satisfaction. That satisfaction is actually coming from a rasa. Similarly, all our senses. Why do we want to do sense gratification? The reason is because each kind of sense gratification actually gives us a particular kind of a rasa. When we see some beautiful thing, we get a particular kind of a rasa. Although these all rasas are material in nature, but yet the concept or the principle remains the same. Our heart is longing for some kind of a rasa. And because we are not giving it the actual transcendental mellow, therefore it is finding it out in different things. But principle remains the same. It wants the real thing. Like the example is given that of a person who wants to taste the rasa of a sugarcane, and he goes to a unauthorized person and asks, how can I get the rasa of a sugarcane? And the person tells that you can go, the sugarcane looks just like a bamboo. And he goes and starts chewing all the bamboos he finds. What he goes through is not, he does not get any sort of rasa. He goes through a lot of hardship, pain, misery. Why? Because he is looking for the actual thing at a wrong place. And that's exactly the condition that we are trapped in this world in sense gratification, because we are looking for the real thing at a wrong place. Real thing at a wrong place. Another example is given of that of a person who wants to eat mangoes, but he goes on a bank of a river where a mango tree is on the bank, but he looks at the reflection of the tree and he wants to eat mangoes there, and he jumps into the river to find the mangoes. but he is not able to find, he will find misery. He will never be satisfied by trying to find the mango in the reflection. And this material world, we know in Bhagavad Gita, through Bhagavad Gita, that this material world is a reflection of what? The spiritual world. So therefore, if we are trying to find the real thing in the reflection of this material world, therefore we are not finding any rasa that is satisfying our heart. And therefore we always remain unsatisfied. We are hankering here and there. And over and above that, there are philosophers in this world. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu tells this. There are philosophers in this world who actually are standing on the bank of the river, and the person who has jumped inside, they are telling the person that actually you are not diving in the right depth. If you go to the right depth, you will find the mango. And they are giving thousands of philosophies, 1001 ways of getting mango in the reflection in the river. Like that, they are writing books. So all these sense gratification books are analogous to a philosopher standing on the bank of the river and telling the person who jumped into the river to do different kind of things to find the actual mango in the river, which is not possible. But these philosophies, these manodharma, these different kind of philosophies, right? We are not talking about, the philosophical variegatedness within Vaishnava Sampradaya, like Shuddha Advait, Dvaita Advait, Vishuddha Advaita, etc. We're talking about the material philosophies that people have created, that life has come from matter, there is no God, etc., etc. So there are philosophers standing on the bank and they're telling people, go deep, you will find it. We found it. Like that, they are cheating. So therefore, Prabhupada says this world is filled with two kind of people, cheaters and cheated. So people who want to get cheated, they go to these kind of cheaters, philosophers. So Maharaj was actually in that lecture. That lecture is actually very beautiful. It is in two parts. And when Maharaj was sitting on Vyasasana, he was giving, and that point in time, Niranjan Maharaj comes. And then Maharaj actually stands up from the Vyasasana and goes and pays obeisances to Niranjan Maharaj. So such a nice example. What he's trying to tell? He's trying to show the third aspect of today's discussion, that is service to the Vaishnava. What is service actually? So he's showing that proper mood of service. Though he's sitting at a very elevated position of a Vyasi, Maharaj is representing whom? Vyasdev. And some visitor or the audience who have come, actually, he doesn't need to stand up, but he's showing that etiquette and the mood in which the service to Bhagavatam should be done. So when we talk about service, the mood is very important. The consciousness and mood is very important. We will talk about it in some time. And therefore, when Parikshit Maharaj was doing the service of hearing for the 7 days, he was actually doing it with great absorption. Parikshit Maharaj was not checking his WhatsApp or status or anything like that in between. Or he was not thinking of what will happen to my kingdom, my family, my queens. He was thinking nothing, completely absorbed in hearing. And that is the success of hearing. When we hear, yesterday, Vyasacharya Prabhu was telling different kind of hearers, right? The ear, from mouth, from nose, from 1 ear to second ear, 1 ear to upwards, 1 ear to mouth, 1 ear to downwards. The best one is that goes to the heart, right? So different kind of hearers are there. Actually, Maharaj was telling a very beautiful story of what should be the mood of a devotee. But before we go there, he's telling the story of Srinivas Acharya. And we will see how Srinivas Acharya's story, it is actually mentioned in Prem Vilas. And it is a very inspiring story of what should be the mood of a devotee when they go in the association of devotees and they seek service, and how they get absorbed in their service, in the association. And when we do like that, then essentially what happens is we get the mercy of the Lord. So this verse of Bhagavatam actually talks about it. विषयाभिनिवेशेन आत्मानं वेद न परं रक्ष जीविकाय जीवं व्यर्था भास्त्रेव यः स्वसान. Because of absorption in sense gratification, one cannot recognize himself or others. Living uselessly in ignorance like a tree, one is merely breathing just like a bellow. Bellow, जो भट्टी होती है उसमें हवा झोंकने के लिए यूज करते हैं. So a person who is absorbed in sense gratification is compared to a bellow. His breathing is compared to a bellow. He's useless. That is, his living is of no use. In this one, he is telling, just as a tree having no means of defending themselves are always being cut down, similarly the conditioned soul are constantly being cut down by the cruel laws of nature, which impose innumerable miseries culminating in sudden death. Getting a very deep point here. So absorption actually comes with association. There was a movie I remember when I was small. I saw is a very famous movie. If I remember correctly, it was Amitabh Bachchan. Somebody wrote on Amitabh Bachchan's hand, "Tera baap chor hai." Chor tha ya hai, pata nahi. Like that. Whole life he was remembering, absorbed in that. Whole life, that person, that whole movie is actually around that. And because some people did wrong to him in the childhood, he was completely absorbed all the time in that, and he associated with wrong people, wrong qualities, wrong modes of nature, and ended up becoming a bad person, an evil person. And at the last, he had to give up his life just because he was absorbed or in a wrong place. On the contrary, his brother, he was not absorbed. He was always associating with the right side of people. He became, if I think, he became police or some good person, and then finally he killed his the evil brother, like that. So when I was reading about absorption, I thought about that person was actually always thinking about the bad that happened to him. Similarly, when we also come in devotee association, sometimes we become too much fixated or absorbed in what bad is happening with me. What bad is happening with me. And Vyasacharya Prabhu was very beautiful telling on the yatra as well, that we should actually see how far we have come. We should compare ourselves of how far we have come when we were not devotees. We were roaming around in this world like a madman, being slapped by the different modes of material nature and Maya, and suffering like anything. Now that we have come in the association of devotees, we should not account for a small, differences that happen between devotees. We should actually discount them. Why? Because we have come a long way. If we compare our wretched condition when we were non-devotees, we are in a much better position, like that. Right? People should think about it. So if we become too much fixated upon that devotees had told me this, that devotee gave me a service which is beyond my level. Why did he tell me to wash, vessels in the kitchen, like that? So if we too much get fixated on this, then we will always associate with the wrong modes of nature. It is all about choice of association. Which mode of nature do we choose to associate with? If we choose to associate with negative modes of nature, passion and ignorance, similar kind of, mati will be formed and similar actions will be manifested. So therefore, through the example of Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Yudhishthir, we are actually getting to know what kind of modes we should associate with. And that is the constitution of absorption. Maharaj is also telling how do we get absorption in our services. We get absorption in our services by associating with devotees who are absorbed. We get absorption by associating with devotees who have, by the virtue of absorption, have created taste in service. So when we associate with them, when we hear from them, then we actually also become absorbed. That is the right. There is no artificial way of getting absorbed. We can become concentrated, we can become ekchit, but absorption is a function or a faculty of heart. Your heart should be actually engaged in that service. And that will only come when we will hear from senior devotees, pure devotees who are actually already absorbed in doing that service. That is one point. We also see absorption from many villain personalities in our scriptures as well. We can give example. Who is that? Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and many like that. Ravana. So Kamsa, he used to always think of Krishna. He is also absorbed in Krishna, but in a negative, not in an anukul manner, pratikul manner. He's also absorbed. He's always thinking of Krishna. Bhaviswadi, that he will kill me, Krishna will kill me, and therefore he's sending different kind of asuras. So somebody may say if absorption is necessary, then Kamsa will also get the same destination. No, it is about anukul absorption and pratikul absorption also. So sometimes, and therefore we can take a lesson that if we are too much absorbed in thinking about wrong or negative qualities of devotees, that will become pratikul for our bhakti. We will be in devotee association, but we will not get the benefit or the ultimate benefit that we are supposed to get. And actually, we have seen a lot of times many devotees who come to devotion in temple or in base or yoga or whatever, they leave after some time because of this main important factor. They're too much fixated on the negative side of things. So if they will see some video on YouTube about somebody doing anti-preaching about ISKCON or devotees or whatever, they will be too much fixated on that. And they somehow or the other are not able to come out of that thing. No matter how much we preach them, Prabhu, that is anti-preaching, that is propaganda, do take good association, read books more, go to yatra, but somehow or the other, always that thing will be going on in their mind, and finally, what will happen? They will prakshepatmika shakti will take over, so they will eject from devotee association. Contrary to this, on the anukul side of absorption, we also see that there is the absorption of the gopis. It is being talked about in 10:47:59. I'll just quickly show you. It's a very good lesson given in there. Uddhava actually is glorifying the gopis for their absorption. I don't know how much time it will take. So he's saying, Kvema striyo vana charir vyabhichara dustaha krishne kva chaisa paramatmani rudha bhavaha navavishwaro anubhajato vidushu api chakshak shreya tanoti agada raja yopa yuktaha. He's saying how amazing it is that these simple women who wander about the forest seemingly spoiled by improper behavior have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Still, it is true that the Supreme Lord Himself awards His blessings even to an ignorant worshipper, just as the best medicine works even when taken by a person ignorant of its ingredients. Over here, he is telling the use of the word qua in the first two lines indicate a sharp contrast between apparently incompatible items. In this case, the apparently insignificant and even impure position of the gopis mentioned in the first line and their attainment of the highest perfection of life mentioned in the second is a contradiction. So he's trying to highlight. In this regard, Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti describes three types of adulterous women. यहाँ पे तीन तरीके के बताए गए. पहला, जो कि अपने पति से भी धोखा करते हैं, who is cheating the husband as well as the beloved. Second, cheating the husband but chaste to the beloved. Third, cheating the husband but chaste to the Lord. So he's saying, although the third type, from material point of view, the third type, it also is also bad, but actually from the spiritual point of view, they are the highest of the worshippers, right? Parakiya bhav, manifestation of that sort. So that's why he's telling. And then he writes in the last, Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that although foolish common people criticize this position, such behavior is condemned by those who are commended by those who are wise in spiritual science. Therefore, learned members of society and the revealed scriptures praise such single-minded devotion to the Lord. He's talking about single-minded devotion, right? Single-minded devotion in the sense that whatever happens in my life, I will not account it to the mercy of the Lord. I will not say that something is bad happening because of the Lord. Single-minded means whatever happens, I will always be your servant. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling in the Siksha Ashtakam. Whatever happens, whether you give me darshan or you marmaha, you don't give me darshan and let me die. Even then, I am your surrendered soul. This is called one-minded. And gopis have actually manifested that one strong-minded devotion to the Lord in the highest degree. So, Maharaj is telling in the lecture that one beautiful story of actually pastime, not story, pastime of Srinivas Acharya. So, Srinivas Acharya, his father Chaitanya Das, when he was small, he used to recite stories of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So Srinivas Acharya always used to hear them. So when and he used to hear them with rapt attention. So when Srinivas Acharya actually grew up, he was so addicted to hearing the pastimes of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with absorption that nothing else actually he was liking nothing else in this world. So gradually and gradually he was becoming more and more restless. How he can go and meet Mahaprabhu and join his Sankirtan movement. So what happens is, yeah. So he wanted to meet Mahaprabhu more and more, and he wanted to go to Puri and meet him. So when he goes to Puri, he meets Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit tells him that you come after some time and meet Mahaprabhu. But after some time, when he comes back to Puri, he knows that Mahaprabhu has already left this world, and then he goes to different, different senior devotees that please teach me Bhagavatam. I am attached to Bhagavatam because I have heard about it and I want to serve. Then he sent from one great devotee to another. So from there he sent, the other Pandit tells him that you go to Sri Khand, and then from there he goes to Janava Devi. From Janava Devi he goes to you know Vrindavan. From Abhiram Thakur he goes to then finally he want to go and meet Roop and Sanatan. But before he wants to meet Roop and Sanatan, even Roop and Sanatan have left this world. Then he finally is kept in the guidance of Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and then Gopal Bhatt Goswami finally teaches Bhagavatam to Srinivas Acharya, and then Srinivas Acharya along with Shyamanand Prabhu and Narottam Das Thakur starts doing the first book distribution. And when they are doing the book distribution, we know that story, right? All the books that they were carrying were stolen. And then when they were stolen, Shyamanand Prabhu and Narottam Das Thakur, they went away. But Srinivas Acharya actually stayed there. And when he stayed there, the king, after he found out, he gave all the books back to Srinivas Acharya. And then his whole kingdom actually became Srinivas Acharya's disciple. So he was so attached to Bhagavatam that he used to recite Bhagavatam in such a melodious manner that he made all the full kingdom his disciple. And when he was residing there, Srinivas Acharya actually used to always, there is another story of Ramchandra Kaviraj, and Maharaj was telling this story. He's saying that once he was doing a Sankirtan, and there was one general of the Nawab. His name was Sher Khan. So he came and actually broke all the mridangas and the stuff that Chand Kazi did, same thing he did there. But however, Shyamanand Prabhu, Shyamanand Prabhu, right? Shyamanand Prabhu actually chanted Mahamantra in such a way that all the Muslim soldiers that came to disturb the Sankirtan movement, all their beard and mustache were burnt. He chanted in such a fierce manner. And when Sher Khan actually went back, and another day he came back, Srinivas Acharya actually was carrying another big Sankirtan. He came back and he told that in the night, actually Allah came in his dreams. And he scolded that you stop Sankirtan, actually they are chanting my names only. And then Allah transformed from to Gauranga. Like that, Sher Khan shared his experience. And then Sher Khan he surrendered to Srinivas Acharya and Shyamanand Prabhu. Like that, this whole pastime happened. There is another pastime that happens in Kheturi Gram. So when Mahaprabhu disappeared, after that the first Gaur Purnima festival was celebrated in Kheturi. And when that was being celebrated, actually, there was supposed to be, 5 deities of Radha Krishna is supposed to be installed. But somehow or the other, whoever was making those deities, some imperfection was there. So Shyamanand Prabhu was telling, no, this is not perfect, this is not perfect. And he was in great anxiety. Then Mahaprabhu appeared in Srinivas Acharya's, if I'm not wrong, right? Srinivas Acharya's dream. And then he told, don't worry, the sculptures are not able to make the deities because I have already, kept a deity for you to be installed somewhere. So he then revealed in the dream that you go to this person, there is a merchant who has a granary. Within that granary, you will find my deity already kept. So you go and take and then install it. It has been kept there for many, many times. So this person was actually having a granary in which a lot of snakes were inflicted. So all the grains were destroyed, all the snakes, and he closed the granary and went away. And when Srinivas Acharya went to him, told Mahaprabhu came to my dream Now you give me the keys of the granary. He was very scared. Don't go there. A lot of snakes are there. So when Srinivasacharya went into his granary, which was completely abandoned, inflicted by snakes, and completely in a rotten state, he went. All these snakes, as soon as he opened the doors, all the snakes themselves came out and went into the forest. And then he went inside and brought the deities and installed them. The first Kheturigram festival of Mahaprabhu's disappearance was actually celebrated this manner. So over there, Maharaj is telling the glories of Srinivas Acharya and his absorption towards the pure love of Godhead. It is by the virtue of his absorption towards Bhagavatam, the amount of hardship that he went through by going to one, elevated personality to other. He heard from Abhiram Thakur, from Jarma Mata, from Gopal Bhatt Goswami, etc. And therefore, he was able to actually get the real mercy of Mahaprabhu, and hence, finally, through his hands, Mahaprabhu manifested himself into this in this festival, Kheturi festival, like that. So, therefore, Krishna reciprocates according to the surrender and absorption a devotee shows in his devotional service. Maharaj is telling further, and therefore, all the Vaishnavas, therefore, whatever service we should get, we should try to do it, whether it is small or big, with as much absorption as we. My senior in Delhi, long time back, he was giving this example that even if we are given the service of cleaning one tile of the floor, we can do it in such a manner that Krishna will be pleased. We clean it in such a manner that Krishna will be pleased. It doesn't matter that we have to do big services. We have to do a lot of book distribution. I'm distributing 1,000 books, or we are creating big temples or centers or like that. We are creating a lot of devotees who have now started chanting 16 rounds. This is all okay, but it is not the exact requirement for somebody pleasing Krishna. What pleases Krishna is with how much absorption and love a person is able to do his service. So he was telling that even if we are given the service of cleaning the floor, we can do that service in such a manner that it will please Krishna. So somebody cleaning the floor, cleaning the toilet, cleaning the vessels, and somebody doing the worship in the altar, or somebody creating a big temple, all can actually please Krishna simultaneously if they have same level of absorption. There is another, beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita that talks about mana prasada samyutvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samsuddhi iti tapo manasam uchyate. It talks about three kind of austerities for the mind. What are the three austerities of mind? Yeah, satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, and self-control. These are the austerities of mind. And with these austerities of mind, actually, we will be able to generate absorption. This is the prerequisite to create absorption. So, Śrīla Prabhupāda is telling in the purport of another verse, he is telling, if in case we want to, concentrate our mind on something, then in that case, we will have to pull our mind away from the desires of sense gratification. And we know that, how does this whole cycle of fall down happens? In 2.63 and 64, we tell, right? So first we see something, object of sense gratification, then we start thinking about it, and then sangestup jayate, then we start thinking about it, then we start contemplating, and then finally, when that happens, our buddhi, our intelligence to choose between right and wrong is destroyed, and finally we end up doing sinful activities like that. But it starts from where? It starts from contemplation, and contemplation is a very important pillar of absorption. Contemplation is a very important pillar of one of the important tenets of absorption. So so Prabhuji was telling, actually, we should stop this whole cycle right at the initiation. So initiation happens where? Eyes and contemplation. We see something and then we start contemplating on it, of sense gratification. So if we see a beautiful car going on the road and then we start contemplating how beautiful it is, why it is so beautiful, and what if I get it, what kind of pleasure I will get, right? I can show off, I can do this and that, and more we start contemplating about it, more and more we are getting implicated in this whole cycle. Our intelligence becomes dull. More we contemplate, our intelligence becomes dull. and it loses the ability to choose between right and wrong, like that. And then whole cycle of 2.63 and 64 happens. And therefore, the first thing that we should do, if in case we want to improve our absorption, is to move the mind away from the objects of sense gratification. So as soon as it comes in our mind, any thought of sense gratification, at that point in time, at the initiation itself, we should consciously do our effort, consciously train ourselves in such a manner that we are able to move it away. And if we clearly observe senior devotees like Mohan Rupa Prabhu from Delhi or Radheshyam Prabhu, you will see while they are speaking, while they are speaking, they are actually keeping a close track of what kind of thoughts are coming. They're keeping a very close track. And as soon as something that is unwanted comes, they actually, do something, start talking about something, and change their, attention span, like that. And now over time, they have mastered the art of controlling and deflection of the mind right at the inception. It's an art to be mastered, and it takes time. The people in the material world, they actually take pleasure in this kind of contemplation. And in fact, Prabhuji went ahead and told one more thing, that in fact, in this whole material world, there is no actual pleasure. The highest level of whatever small pleasure is there in this material world, the largest portion of that is actually in the contemplation only. Whatever small portion is there, the largest portion of that is actually in contemplation. So when people contemplate, when a boy contemplates of associating with a woman or a beautiful girl, actually the contemplation itself is when they meet, then they start figuring out everything is bad. So therefore, the art is to stop the cycle right at the inception, and it takes a lot of training and hard work to do that. Lot of training. It takes a lot of time to actually reach to that stage, where right at the inception, when it comes, you deflect it. And I'm saying it, but it is very difficult. It is easy to speak about it. Therefore, we should associate with people who have reached that stage, who are actually practicing it in day-to-day life and have conquered it, right? And when we see them, then we learn this art. And when we practice it for a long time, then we will definitely, by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, we will be able to master this art. It is difficult, but it is not impossible. Many devotees in front of us are actually exhibiting it in totality. There is one more thing. When the materialistic people actually start contemplating and they take pleasure in such kind of things, for example, when they think about ordering something from Swiggy, let's assume today I'm thinking about eating samosa, then they will think about it. There is a samosa. When I eat, some kind of rasa will come, and I will be happy. And then they go and actually order it, right? But what happens when they indulge in their mind is in such kind of enjoyment of the sense objects in the mind itself? It creates a certain kind of rasa in their mind which hooks them, and therefore people, like there are some bogus swamis who talk about this sambhogsa samadhi and this all this nonsense. The reason they are able to talk about it, what happens is, just after doing the sense gratification, there is a very brief pause of the thoughts, of the next set of thoughts. So what happens when somebody has done, and this is the illusion of Maya, this is our Natmika. So what happens when we do sense gratification? Just after doing sense gratification, let's say you have eaten samosa, and after eating samosa, now you are satisfied. If somebody comes and says, then you will become humble. No, Prabhu, no more, because you have already, the person has eaten it, and he has just. So what happens? The mind tricks us in a manner that it, for a momentary basis, it tells us, no, you need no more. So that momentary one feels like a sadhu. So therefore, he is saying but actually, what happens when we do sense gratification? Our tendencies, lower tendencies, become more and more stronger to return back even with greater force later on. So this momentary gap that we have, where we feel like now I am having no more material desire, is actually a decoy, is actually a cheating by Maya. But what will happen actually, after some time, this same desire of enjoying, in this example, samosa, will actually come back with greater force. And it will be even harder for us to restrain it. And therefore Arjuna is telling Krishna that sometimes I end up doing things which I don't want, as if being forced to do it forcefully. Balavadranam. Like somebody is forcefully, asking me to do it. And then Krishna told it is because of the your association with the mode of passion and ignorance, right? That's. But actually, this is how the whole science happens. When we engage ourselves in sense gratification, for the time being, it may seem like I have done, I'm done, I'm over. Now I will do it never again. That's how devotees always also think about sometimes. Now, this time I have done, I'm feeling guilt. Feeling guilt is good. Śrīla Prabhupāda has written in Bhagavatam in different purports. Feeling guilty is good. And but if we feel like now I'm feeling guilty, now I will never do it again, it will not happen. We have to actually then engage in the third thing that we are going to talk about, and that is devotional service. That is what? Devotional service. So feeling guilty alone will not help us restrain ourselves for when the same influence comes next time. And therefore, the glories of devotional service are mentioned here. One second. So when somebody starts, when we start engaging ourselves in devotional service, what happens? These influences of previous samskaras, impressions on our mind and heart, actually they start getting washed away. Krishna starts washing them away. And therefore, we become less and less prone to these kind of influences in the future. So there is a verse 1 to 7, and we know this. Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janeti Asuvairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahetukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. The knowledge and detachment come side by side by doing the devotional service. Detachment from what? Objects of sense gratification and our previous impressions. And knowledge of what? What to do, what to choose, and whom to serve better. So he's writing here, the principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. Okay. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual. And the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to the spiritual activities. Detached from material affection is that our attachment towards the previous impressions of the sense gratification that we have done. So we start becoming detached from that and start becoming attached. And this is the process of detachment and attachment. So this is how detachment and attachment should happen simultaneously. Nobody can claim that I will become detached and I will become attached later on. And it is, the analogy is given that of walking. When we walk, actually, before we lift our hind leg, we actually find a suitable, stable, platform for the front leg. Nobody can say that I will put my raise my, hind leg first, and then you will be in air, and that is very unstable position. So the point is that even before we, the attachment and the detachment actually go on hand in hand. And therefore, if we want to detach ourselves from something else, we have to get positive, better attachment into something. That is how it is. And we have many times heard the example of if a child wants to leave the candy, if you want to make a child leave candy, then you will have to give him more better eatable and palatable dishes. Then he will leave. So detachment from one thing, attachment to other. Similarly, we got attached to prasadam, and we left all these uh, uh, non-wanted things because we first started eating prasadam. We got attached to it, the taste, the transcendence of it, and then finally we were able to leave. And same principle goes in and is being talked about here. Naskarmya means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essential does not mean negation of the essential. We talked about the other day as well. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. So we have to be attached to the positive pariphernalia and characteristics of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. And here, Maharaj is also telling the importance of serving the devotees. In the service is not only of the Supreme Lord. So if you think about only serving the deities, only the altar, and we don't have positive and loving relationship with other devotees, then these kind of devotees are called what? Kanishtadhikari. So they love the deities, but they don't serve the devotees. These are Kanishtadhikaris. It's a starting stage. But finally, what happens is the devotees actually should love the deities and the Vaishnavas. In fact, Krishna tells that I love devotees more who serve my devotees. Correct? And it is even more important for us who are living in yoga, always living in going for yatras, to actually keep on finding opportunities to serve devotees, even in better way. And every senior devotee you will see, he will actually always be attentive to serve the other devotees, either by giving classes or by mentoring them or doing physical service like washing their clothes or serving prasadam or whatever. Like that, they always find opportunities. So service, whenever service comes, we should always be very attentive in finding service to devotees. So we talked about three things: service, absorption, and satisfaction. Only by doing service with absorption should we will be getting the real satisfaction of our heart, and that satisfaction will actually make us stable in bhakti. So devotees who are not able to, get this level of satisfaction, even after spending some time in devotion, they will leave away because they have not got the satisfaction that is above the level of their material satisfaction. So they will, unless and until our, spiritual satisfaction goes beyond what we have already experienced in this material world, we will not be stable here. There is always a chance for the pendulum to go the other way, right? So. Uh, and therefore, it is told we have to stay in devotion for a sufficiently long amount of time for us to gather sufficient amount of satisfaction of the heart so that we can reject everything that we have accumulated previously. It will not happen overnight. So nobody can say that I have come here for 1-2 years. It is all very subjective. So every devotee, how much time it will take for us to become stable, it is very, very subjective, depending upon what kind of journey we have been traveling throughout the previous lives, what kind of sanskaras we have been accumulating, what kind of association we have been doing, etc., etc. Right. So I will stop here. We are over time. If you have your office or anything, please continue. If there are any questions or comments, please let me know. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Yeah. So actually, this is more of a IVF class, but there are many problems that boys who come to yoga or they face because of the previous lives. Like for example, pornography is one of the examples. Right. So many devotees that I have been counseling have been infected with this menace of mind because they have in their previous life they have been doing it and everybody was praising it and they were just doing for sense gratification. But when they come here in devotion, because the switch is off but the fan is still running, these activities of these desires of their actually continue to associate with women, to do all these nonsense activities. To sometime they will continue. But when they continue, sometimes what happens when we do some certain activity, after that we feel guilty. And when we feel guilty, people may be allude to think that, okay, now I will not do it anymore. So if they become satisfied by just the guilt itself, if they become satisfied, then they will not act in a way that it doesn't happen again. That is positively engaging their senses and mind in the service of Rishikesha, and therefore the mind and the senses will not be purified because of this feeling that I will not do it again because I am feeling that void. It is gone. It will never come back. That is a trap. That I was talking about. And people actually, I was talking about the bogus gurus. Actually, they cheat people by making use of this temporary gap that you have. They cheat people. So they allow them to do sense gratification, and just after sense gratification, they ask them, "How are you feeling?" And he's feeling like I'm feeling like I don't want to do it again. That's what samadhi is. Tell like that. That is samadhi. No, it is not samadhi. It is a trap, and it will come back with higher force after some time, and we'll be forced to do it again if we do not engage our senses and our mind in the positive service. Anukulena Krishna Anusilanam. If we do not do that, then we will fall again. And again and again it will keep on happening. So therefore it is told this Bhajan Kriya and Anarth Nivritti is like a up and down graph. Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti. So when we are doing a good association, we are serving the devotees, we are doing Anukul Seva, we are in the right frame of mind, doing reading, hearing, chanting, good quality, then for some time our sense gratification will go down. But then as soon as the opportunity will come for the anarthas to show their face, these are serpents still with poison, right? The poison has not gone. So as soon as the right atmosphere will come, the anarthas will again fire back. They will fire back. So it takes time. And Mohan Prabhu was telling, he was telling in Hindi, he was saying कि सेवा में अपने आप को रगड़ना पड़ता है, तब मन और इंद्रियां क्लीन होती हैं. He was trying to tell कि इतना सेवा, we have to do so much service that actually we will start feeling burning sensation of within our senses. That they will kind of, how should I say it? They will kind of feel strangulated, like you choke someone, and after some time he starts chatane lagte hai na, he starts feeling strangulated. Similarly, he was saying that when some devotee actually starts engaging themselves seriously and sincerely in the service, then after some time they will start feeling this strangulation of their previous lower tendencies. And that is where we should understand that actually purification is happening. Unless and until we are feeling discomfort, actually we are not moving ahead. If every time we are in just comfort only, we are doing everything good, we are feeling good, every devotee is praising us, everything is going good, then your anarthas are not, I mean, most probably the anarthas are not going away, they are settling down somewhere. Why they are settling down? They are looking for a right opportune movement to actually come back and, bite you with greater force. So we should feel that, Prabhuji was telling that we should feel that discomfort and strangulation of our previous tendencies. That discomfort should come in. And how it will feel like? It will feel like, he was giving example, if somebody wants to do the same bad activity again, he will feel like a strong burning sensation from within, that tendency again and again. But at that point in time, we have to actually somehow or the other regulate ourselves by the good association. And therefore keep yourself in very strong association, so that when you are slipping away, the devotees will actually pull you in. Like that. There is one devotee who actually previously, before coming to, I'm telling you right, real story. And so all the devotees who are online, we are already over time. So if you want to go ahead and do your services and job and etc., please go ahead. Hare Krishna. So I'll tell you one story of one devotee in Delhi. In around 2008, I was sitting in base. I already came in base. I was sitting, and we opened a new base in Greater Noida. And I was given the service of making sure whoever new comes, you tell, make sure that if they are good, catch them and tell them about base. And all students were there. There are thousands of students there. So I was sitting there one evening, very beautiful evening, wind is blowing. One person comes with gel and spike in the hair, torn jeans and good biceps and Bali and everything. He comes and he stops in front of the gate. I was sitting. And as soon as I saw him, I said, this person can never become a devotee. I will never allow him to shift in. And he came in, he asked, I heard that there is a new center opening of ISKCON here. Somebody told me about center. Can you tell me more about? And I was very disinterested in telling anything to him. I was just telling, just like that, formality. And then he became, when can I shift in? No, you cannot shift, right? Right. First thing that I saw. Later on, after a few weeks or months, if I remember correctly, he shifted inside base. My counselor allowed him to shift in, and then he removed all those things. And then he shifted like a sober person. And then he became friend to me. And he told his previous story to me. He told his story, and if we will hear that story, we will feel like, my God, we are far better than him, right? We will feel. He told that he has lived many live-in relationships. Many girlfriends he have kept, and they used to live, and illicit relationship they were having. He used to drink like hell. And he used to drink and then go on the road and curse everyone in the vicinity. बाहर निकल तुझे बताता हूँ ऐसे करके he used to curse everyone in the vicinity. And then he used to always sometimes also taste, because at that point in time this cocaine or this hashish and everything was becoming very popular. So he used to take drugs also sometimes. And he told everything that this is my past. I don't know how long I will be able to stay here, etc., etc. Over the course of time, that person actually created very good devotee friends, very strong devotee friends. Why? Because he was open and genuine. He was open and genuine. He used to tell everything. Even if he used to go and meet his girlfriend someday, he was already shifted in base, but sometimes his girlfriend used to call him, can you come and meet? And then we will go, and he used to come and tell. He was so genuine person. Gradually and gradually he moved ahead in bhakti, and then he joined temple. He joined temple, full-time brahmachari, and he was from Himachal. He's a very from a very I mean, not very. He's considerably wealthy family. Only two brothers, and good amount of wealth and everything. And he left everything. One single day he came. I was the base in charge. He came from office after 2 or 3 years. This is not exactly 2 3 years. He came back and he told me, Prabhu, I want to talk something. मैंने कहा मुझे लगता है he wanted to shift outside. He tells, Prabhu, I want to shift to base. Sorry, shift to temple. I was shocked. All my fuses were like gone. I go, what is this? I am base in charge from last 4 or 5 years. Never this thought never came to me. But this person, like, he made such a good progress in only 3 4 years. And this is a case study being told in Delhi everywhere. And right now he is a personal servant of Mohan Prabhu, the Delhi Temple president. That day he came to me and told, Prabhu, I want to give up my job. I'm done. And I want to just go and, join temple. And then I, remembered everything. It started going in my mind, what I was thinking about this person and what turned out, because he was genuine and open. And he made very good devotee friends, very strong friends. Still, they are very strong friends. Something happened in between in temple, some ups and downs happened. He used to call his devotee friends, they used to all come to the temple, sit, do katha, and he used to tell everything to them. That is the secret of remaining here, because we are having strong tendencies from past. They can drag us any time back. At that point in time, you should have good hooks they are called hooks in devotional service, who will actually keep you like that. So this is a story that actually inspired me a lot. And he was also telling that sometimes these desires again crop up, like going and meeting and doing the same bad activities again. But he then, as soon as those desires come, because those tendencies are very strong within him, he goes and hides somewhere in the brahmachari ashram. He says that I go into some senior devotee's room and I go and hold the armchair, the arms of the chair. I hold it strongly and then I sit in front of Prabhu, because his tendencies are so strong. He's saying that I feel like running away from temple and doing again those things. But because he's maintaining those things and he tells Prabhu, I am getting this feeling of going back, what to do? And then Mohan Prabhu personally guides him. Gradually and gradually he became really elevated. Now it is more than 10 years. He's successfully practicing in ashram. So it's like a great success story like that. Yes, yeah, that is for me. That we should not see an external, we cannot see that who will become a devotee, who will not become a devotee. No matter how much strong prarabdhas or sanskaras we are having, Krishna has always got a way for us. The only thing is, from our end, the effort should be genuine. Genuine effort should be there. Absorption, all these are qualities of genuine. With absorption, we should do service and all. Most importantly, devotee friends. I have seen this many times. Sometimes I have seen people, they come in devotion, they leave ashram. One or two examples are there. I will not stay in ashram, this and that, this is fighting. But they go out and then they come back, because they were having good devotee friends, and then they pull them back gradually and gradually. That will also happen. Okay, like that. Hare Krishna. Any other point, question? So, yes, go. Can you repeat the last part? Yeah, Prabhu, this is the Radhanath Swami Maharaj actually talks about in UK Parliament about good dog and bad dog. You might have heard that is very famous. So actually, this is about feeding the good dog and starving the bad dog. So when we hear something negative or anti-preaching or propaganda or whatever, actually that is a food for our bad dog. Every one of us are having a bad dog and a good dog. It is the question of which one we want to feed. Whichever we feed more, that dog will bark stronger. So if we feed the good dog more and more, in this case, the food is for the bad dog. As soon as we come across these kind of negative things, we should actually surcharge ourselves with better devotee association. Like the thing that works for me, my personal experience is that I start reading Bhagavatam loudly. Sit in front of the deities and read Bhagavatam along with the devotees loudly and contemplate it, discuss about it with deep absorption. Why this? What is the philosophy? What is Krishna trying to tell? What Prabhupada is trying to tell? What will happen in this way that actually we will move the attention from the bad talk to the good talk and we will feed it right at that point in time and it will become stronger. So these things will keep on coming, but we should actually counteract them rather than discussing. See, it depends upon how much time we have spent in the movement as well. If we are very new, we should not try to defend the negative thing that we heard by positive philosophy. That can backfire. Sometimes the negative propaganda is Shri Radha Madhav ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Panch Tattva ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Sodhar Maharani ki jai, Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai, Vrinda Devi ki jai. Sometimes the negative propaganda is so well organized with logic and everything that just counteracting it with logic and these things might not work out if we are very new. In that case, we should avoid it and take to the positive practice. Sit with devotees in front of the temple and read Bhagavatam or do kirtan or discuss philosophy loudly. For me, works like read Bhagavatam loudly. It really works magic like that. Does that answer? Hare Krishna. Online question is there? Okay. Let me see. 1 second, 1 second. Yes, Bhavna Mataji has written. You said Lord is happy with even the smallest service done and with devotion. Now, with this thought, will my mind not tell me to do just a little with the devotion and be satisfied with it rather than doing more? When I have a capacity to do more. The question is, even if we do small service, the Lord is satisfied. Tarayato Mahto Bhayat, right? Small service will actually save us from the greatest danger. Then we should do small service only, or we should do larger service also. So actually, it is a matter of love. When we love someone, we will not be satisfied only by giving some small thing and then just calling it a day. For example, when a mother loves the child, it is not that the child has eaten something and she will never ask it again. She will keep on asking the child again and again, are you feeling hungry? Are you feeling hungry? Should I make something for you? Kal kya khaoge? Aaj kha liya, aaj ka done. Then why she's asking about tomorrow? What will you eat tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and like that. So when it is a matter of love and attachment to someone. When we love someone, we will not be satisfied by only doing a small service to them. We will do more and more and more in order to satisfy. Same applies to the material love between boy and girl. They will do more and more. They will try to understand what the other person wants, what they eat, where they want to go, etc., etc. So, in similarly, the same principle is applicable in the spiritual world. When there is love between the sadhak and the sadhya, by the virtue of sadhana. So sadhak and sadhana, by the virtue. When there is love between them, then the sadhak actually wants to do more and more. He wants to go out of his way and do more and more to please the Supreme Lord, who is the supreme lovable object. And therefore he will not be satisfied. The third principle that we talked about, by doing little, the person will not be satisfied. The Lord will be satisfied because he is absolute. He will be satisfied with anything. He is already satisfied. But the devotee will never be satisfied because this is the nature of the love. And therefore, he will try to do more and more and more. This is the nature of love, be it material love or spiritual love. Just that the spiritual love manifests this quality in a pure form, material love in a perverted form. Right? So I hope that answers. Hare Krishna. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.